Hello everyone, you're welcome to class today. Today we'll be looking at circulatory system, mostly the human circulatory system. Okay, before we move on to that, generally the general overview you need to know about what circulatory system is all about is the fact that circulatory system, from the word circulatory, to circulate, to move around, to move things around. Now, circulatory system in animal is quite different from that of plant. Now, in plant, we call it transport system majorly, but in animal, we refer to it as circulatory system. Okay, so in animal circulation is a bit more complex than that of the plant. Okay, so when you do from the context circulation, that is to move things around, to get things around the whole body. That's what it is. And when you talk about system, we're looking at the components or the organs, the component generally that makes it possible for these items to get to the right position or where it's supposed to go to in the body. So that's what system is all about. So anytime you hear the word system, what comes to your mind should be components, like from the word computer system that deals with the monitor, the CPU, the mouse, the keyboard, and all of that. Okay. So security system simply means the component within the body that helps materials or nutrients to move from one point to another within the body system. Okay. All right, so moving on, here we'll be looking at the few objectives we'll be covering in this topic. So we're looking at the meaning of circulatory system, which I've started already. I've already given you an overview of what circulatory system is all about. So we'll look at the features and we'll look at the functions. Why is it necessary? What exactly what function do they actually carry out within the body? And then look at the types. There are different types based on different animals. Remember, we said we're dealing with humans, but we'll talk about human without talking about some other animals that have close relation. Okay, so we'll also look at the how the heart generally, how the heart functions, and we'll also look at the different hearts in different animals. Okay, because it's quite different. The heart of a fish is quite different from that of a goat. Same for humans as well. Okay. All right, so let's move on into what we have for today. All right, so let's look at circulatory system. Now, like I said before, is a system refers to different components. Okay, so system here refers to different components. Now, when you talk about the component, we talk about the heart, we talk about the blood vessels, and then we'll talk about the blood itself. Okay, so we'll talk about the heart, we'll talk about the blood vessels, and then we'll talk about the blood itself. So these are the components that make up the circulatory system. Okay, so the heart does the function of pumping, the blood vessel does the function of a pathway or a circuit, while the blood carry the function of a motor, as in a transportation system. Okay, so the heart, as the blood picks up the nutrient, take for instance oxygen. The blood picks up oxygen. Okay, now it moves through the capillary, and then the heart mounts a few pressures to get it to get to its destination, or vice versa. Okay. All right, so that's what circulatory system is. So this is a system that contains the heart and the blood vessel that moves blood throughout the body. That's what I said before, because of the word system. Okay. All right, we look at the features now. Circulatory system, they generally have three main features, like I just mentioned before. Here, number one, we call it fluid. Now, the reason why we don't refer to this as blood is because we are dealing with not just animals. Okay, so when we talk about fluid, talking about blood in animals, and then what we call the hemolymph in insects. Okay, so these two carry the same function in based on the organism where they are located. Okay, then also we'll talk about the vessels. We look at the three types of vessels: the capillary, the veins, and the artery. These are the three vessels we have that transports, that gives pathway for the movement of these materials within the body. Then we'll have the heart that pumps the fluid through the vessels. Okay. All right, so let's move on to discuss the types of circulatory system. Now, they are divided into three. Okay, some times they will do more than three, in the sense that they will try to that like number one that talks about open and closed circulatory system. Sometimes they refer to it as number one open circulatory system, number two closed circulatory system, like that, so forth, so on and so forth. So I prefer to put it into three. So the first one is open and closed circulatory system. Now what do you think when you say open and closed? From the English word, the literal meaning, to open and to close. So something that is enclosed and something that is in the open. Okay. Then the second one is the single and double circulatory system. Here we'll talk about, think of a double lane. Okay, how many times does cars have to pass through? How many cars can drive through the lane at the same time, or something like that. So when we talk about single, we're referring to the fact that blood passes through the heart once. When we talk about double, we're referring to the fact that blood passes through the heart twice. So we're going to talk about that as we move on. Then the last one here will be pulmonary and systemic circulation. Now, from the word pulmonary is always talking about the upper part of the body, that is about the heart and the lungs. Okay, so the movement of blood will from the heart to the lungs, and then from the lungs back to the heart. So that's what we refer to as pulmonary. Then the second one is systemic. Systemic here it talks about, and from the word system, that is the body part. So when this blood moves from the heart into the body part, and then from the body part back into the heart. Okay, so that's what we call systemic. Now I'm using the fact that it goes to the heart twice because it's also connected to double circulatory system. So we can see a case of like human beings, for example, we have closed circulatory system and we have double circulatory system, and then we also carry out both pulmonary and systemic circulatory system. But some organisms we have open circulatory system, single circulatory system, and then pulmonary and systemic, and so on and so forth. Now we get to understand it better as we move. So let's start with the open system, that is open circulatory system. Let's start with that one. Let's see what that says. Now if you look at the picture here, you will see that's the grasshopper. I will take it to be a grasshopper. Now I told you before from the beginning that this the reason why we use fluid instead of blood. So fluid is something that can use in a general term. So insects uses what we call hemolymph, not blood. So this is what is contained in their body cavity. Okay, so that is their body cavity referred to as hemocoel. If you look at the picture, you will see what that says. Okay, so that's what they use. Well, what we are trying to look at now, look at here, is the fact that if you look at this, look at the picture here. So this is this is how it works, how it is. This is how it is. So you can see blood flows from this section then into the artery. From the artery, then it goes out into the body cavity. Okay, so it goes into the body cavity, not in a circuit again, or not in a vessel again. Okay, so that's what we refer to it as open circulatory system. Remember I said blood, but here is referring to fluid. So that's what we refer to as open circulatory system. Okay, so take note, hemolymph is what is contained within the body cavity. Okay, all right, so that is for open. There are other organisms that also possesses the open circulatory system. Other organisms, other insects in particular possesses that. Now look at clothes. Now someone will say, why don't you use humans? Now the reason why I use earthworm is for you to also know that despite the fact that earthworm looks a bit less in complexity, but earthworm on its own carries out what we call closed circulatory system. I think as you can see how the blood is, so this is their heart. This is their heart. So blood goes through a circuit. There's never a time blood or fluid gets into their body cavity. It always runs within a circuit. That's what we refer to as closed circulatory system. Okay. For example, vertebrate, annelid, worms, and a few mollusks have a closed circulatory system. Okay, so that is for close. That's for open and close. Now let's talk about single and double circulatory system. Now when we talk about single circulatory system, like I said before, blood had to pass through the heart once. That's why it's called single. A typical example of organism that carries out this single circulatory system is a fish. As you can see, this is a fish. This is a fish, so blood passes through this fish's body once. If you look closely into this, you will see where the heart is located. You can see the heart. You can see the heart. Now, if you remember how fishes respirate, how they respirate, yes, they close up their operculum, the opening by the side of their head. They close it up. Then they lower the buccal cavity, that is their mouth, for water to go in. So as water goes in, now inside there is where we have the gills. Gills is their respiratory organ. Okay, so water carrying oxygen. Remember, water is carrying oxygen at that moment. So when it gets into their mouth, it will splash through the gills. There's something in the gills called the gill filament. So that gill filament is where the exchange takes place. So gaseous exchange takes place within the gill filament. Now, as water passes through the gill filament, oxygen within the water will be extracted into the filament, whereby carbon dioxide will be extracted back into the water. So once that happens, the fish will now open the operculum again for the water to flush out. Remember, I said closes the operculum, opens its mouth, water goes into the mouth, then passes through the gills. As that is happening, oxygen will be extracted while will be absorbed, while carbon dioxide will be removed into the water, and then the water flows out. Okay, through the operculum. Okay, so once that happens, you can look. If you look at this diagram closely, you will see an arrow. You can see from the gills, the arrow points towards the body. Now, it is not going to the heart. It goes to the body first. Now, once that finishes, once the oxygen, now at this point is the oxygen, because oxygen is a case study here. Now, as it gets into the body will utilize them. Now, after carrying out all the functions, everything, then the carbon dioxide, because at that point it will be used up and then to pick up carbon to form carbon dioxide. Now, the carbon dioxide will now enter the heart. This is the heart. This is the heart. So as carbon dioxide goes into the heart, then the heart will now pump it out back to the gills, where it will come in contact with the water again. As you can see, you see that there is one contact within the heart. So that's what we call that single circulatory system. Oxygen or gases can only go, or blood, blood can only pass through the heart once. So that's why it's called single circulatory system. Blood passes through the heart once. But come to that of animal or man, you can see, look at the lungs. From the lung, when you breathe in, you're breathing in oxygen. So oxygen will diffuse into the blood cells. Now the blood cells will carry from the lungs into the heart. Now from the heart, you can see another arrow. You can see the heart will pump the blood into the tissues, that is the body cells. So we call that tissue here. Now when the body cell uses up all the cells, all the component oxygen in particular within the cell, it will now send it back again to the heart. You can see the second time it's coming to the heart, to come back to the heart, and then the heart will now pump it back to the lung. Now you can see the color description here. The color description here is what we use to identify oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. You can see the one coming from the lungs is oxygenated. That's why I had this color. But while the one coming from the tissues is deoxygenated, that means is carrying carbon dioxide at the moment. Okay, so that is what the color representation is all about. Okay, so in double, blood travels in two circuits around the body. Like I said, from the lungs to the heart. From the heart, it goes into the body. From the body, it returns back again to the heart. From the heart, it goes back to the lungs. So that's what I meant by two circuits. Okay, so it passes through the heart twice, while the that of single passes through the heart once. Okay, and it travels in one circuit. Okay. Okay, I guess that is clear. So let's talk about the last one, which is the pulmonary and systemic circulatory system. Now, when we talk about pulmonary circulatory system, now, like I said before, is the movement of blood from the heart to the lungs. So it's between the heart and the lungs. Now, I want to go back to this page. Now, you can see heart plus lung is equal to pulmonary circulatory system. while heart plus tissue is equal to systemic tissue circulatory system. That's as simple as that. Okay, so pulmonary system moves blood between the heart and the lungs, while systemic circulatory system moves blood between the heart and the rest of the body. That is all you need to know. Okay, so and now this another thing you also need to take note of is the type of blood. Like I said before, we have deoxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Okay, so in transport, deoxygenated blood as a transport deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So from the body, what is coming from the body is blood carrying carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide at this point is a waste product. So it goes from the body into the heart, then from the heart it goes to the lungs. Okay, so the blood is deoxygenated. Okay, so once it gets to the lungs, oxygen, carbon dioxide that is carrying will be liberated, while oxygen will be absorbed. So once that happens, it flows back again to the heart. Okay, so that is how it works. That's how it works. Okay, now look at the picture that illustrates that. If you look at the picture, you will see the pulmonary circulation system. You can see is between the heart and the lungs. So that's why you have the pulmonary vein here, and we have the pulmonary artery here. We'll talk about this when we get to the structure of the heart. Okay, now look at the systemic circulation. We have every other component, every other thing within the body, as you can see the arrow from the lungs to the pulmonary vein, it gets into the heart. From the heart, it moves into the body for circulation, so it circulates around the whole body. So when the body finishes its function using the oxygen that is brought in, they will capture carbon as well, turning the oxygen to carbon dioxide, and then it goes back to the heart. So from the heart pumps it back to the lungs. Okay, so that's an illustration that explains pulmonary and systemic circulatory system. Here's another one. This one looks a bit uh, simpler. So this is the lungs. This is the pulmonary circuit. From there, it goes into the heart. From the heart, you can trace the red part. So it goes into the body. After that, it returns back again to the heart, and then from the heart. So the lungs and the heart is the pulmonary circuit, while the heart and the system is also referred to or the body is referred to as the systemic circuit. Okay, so here we talked about the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So blood returns to the heart. Blood returning to the heart is always low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide. That's why we call it oxygenated and deoxygenated. Sorry, while the blood is said to be deoxygenated. Okay, now the other way around is the one high in oxygen. That's why we call it oxygenated blood.